Well, thank you for staying with us. Government should hand over the official presidential residence in Durban to King Misuzulu kaZwelithini. Now, that's the plea coming from Deputy eThekwini Mayor and Abantu Congress leader Philani Mavundla. He says that John L. Dube House, formerly King's House, should be one of the King's palaces, as he doesn't have one in Durban. The house is currently the official residence of the president and deputy president when they visit the province. But Philani Mavundla joins us now this morning to take us through, of course, their statements as a party. And thank you so much for your time, Mr. Mavundla. Good morning to you. Why do you think this is important? Why do you think that this third presidential house should be handed over officially to King Misuzulu?
Very good morning to you and all the South African and the people of KwaZulu in particular. The issue here is very simple. We believe that because the whole country was fully aware that there will be the coronation of our king, what should have happened, his palace should have been ready just before, even before that, and everything that goes with it. But as it stands at the moment, the king is residing in a house somewhere in Upongolo and is not fit for the king of the Zulus. Now, the reason we're coming with the king's house is very fit for our king. Also, that king house, you'll be aware that in 2009, 40 million rand was spent to upgrade the security and the revamping of King's house. And immediately after that, it was declared that no, it's not suitable for the president to reside there. As a result, there's no president that stay there, even if when they're in Durban. Yet, there's an asset where 40 million rand was spent in 2009. And there was a further 10 million rand that was spent, yet is not being used. So we are not saying to the president or the deputy president that they must not use a facility that's allocated for them. But the truth of the matter, it is not being used. It's sitting there idling, costing the taxpayer money. So instead of building a new palace or buying a new palace in Durban, it's better that the king house is used. It is very suitable for the king.
Yeah, and how does the king himself feel about this? Did you perhaps get in touch with him or even the royal family about where the king's preferred residence is, or what he, I suppose, thinks as well about this gesture that he should be given residency in this particular property?
Well, I'll be very careful as a subject of the king. I would not like to speak for the king. But I think those who are in powers, they do need to engage the king, and they will find what is his take on it. It is very clear. He's clear about it, but really he is my king. I will not speak for him. But seemingly that at the end of the day, the politician seems to be the one that decide what needs to happen. Even for the kings in South Africa, the politicians decide. We are saying, myself in particular as a politician, I'm saying, to the other politicians, they need to look at this and understand that we need our king to be given a suitable place that will be his palace. Now, remember, this particular king, schooled in Durban, he went to US to school. He's a king, he's a modern king, so he deserves a place like the king's house in Durban. It's even named King's House.
Mr. Mavundla, if you may allow me to also touch on, other suggestions and recommendations that you have presented as well, calling on, the government to also, initiate the project of installation of a King Shaka statue within the city of eThekwini. I mean, we're also talking here of, a king of the Zulu before King Misuzulu, obviously, and you're saying that some of the colonial statues should be made away with, and there should be an erection of his statue. Can you elaborate on what the significance of this suggestion is, as particularly to KwaZulu-Natal and the Zulu Kingdom?
Well, you might be aware that I'm serving as a councillor in eThekwini. I'm also a deputy mayor of eThekwini. In the city hall of eThekwini, there are hundreds of statues of the oppressors or the colonizers. Some of them are even installed on top of the roof because I think they ran short of space. Some of them are inside the halls. Now, there was a little bit of having a foresight from the four leaders in the council that they started making some bars and so on for our four leaders. But what they've done, you've got kings like King Cetshwayo's face that was then embedded on the floor, that as you walk into the hall, you walk on top of them. And obviously this was done by the native themselves who are running the council. And I'm saying that is very bad. Now, going around the city hall, there is every oppressor that you can think of. But when it comes to people like Misuzulu, who fought for us, they are nowhere. Now, if you go to O.R. Tambo, there's a beautiful statue of our past leader, Babu Oliver Tambo. And then you come to King Shaka Airport. There isn't a statue, but in the very same precinct, there is a statue of Babu Mafuzela, Ulangalbalele, Durban, but there isn't for a king. If you're driving around the streets in Durban, the streets have been named by giving the names of the politician, only the ANC politician, no other political party, only the ANC. The only institution that we know in Durban that has got one of our leaders is only Steve Biko Campus. It is in this context that we're saying King Shaka, his station need to be installed at King Shaka Airport, nowhere else.
All right, well, we'll leave it then. I appreciate you, of course, just emphasizing on your recommendation. And thank you so much for your time this morning, Abantu.
Thanks, Amelia.
Congress leader, Philani Mavundla, thank you so much for your time this morning. Now, with that being said, here's your latest coming from